Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to confirm that everything is working. Yeah. My apologies. I've been talking for the past 7 minutes, talking to myself, but it's good. It's preparation. All right, so welcome back. We've had 1 week of break, and I hope you took the time to work on all the assignments, to create new structures, to start practicalizing all the things that we have been working on. I have another exciting topic, one that may not be strange to you, but I believe will hit differently this evening. I'm sure of it. So, we're going to be looking at the seed and the harvest. The seed and the harvest, mastering the laws of abundance. So, there is a law. And when we talk about laws, it means that nothing can shake it. It stands. It's a law. There is a law, and there are laws of abundance. Maybe after this week, maybe next week we'll start building on these laws. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. But the law we're looking at now is the seed and the harvest. Unlocking consistent exponential increase in your life. How do you stay increasing consistently? Is there such a thing as the light, your light shining brighter and brighter? Is there such a thing as every month being better, every year being better, every 5 years a new level? It's possible. There are laws. So let's unlock consistent exponential increase today. Okay. So the first thing we need to understand as we start is that there is a myth. It's a myth that prosperity is some mysterious random blessing. It's something that when you go to church, a declaration is released, and all of a sudden, all your problems disappear. All of a sudden, everything just starts going well. It's not true. It's not true. It doesn't work that way. I said this recently that if it was that simple, Nigeria would be one of the richest nations in the world because we go to church a lot. We call on different people to speak words over us. Now, I'm not playing down on that because that has worked for me and will continue to work for me. But you must understand that there are things that go with it. When a word comes, there's action that must follow. So, we're exposing the lie that wealth is only for some lucky few. Because what we're looking at today is a universal law. It's as constant as the rising and setting of the sun. And this is the law of seed and harvest. It's the law of seed. It's universal. There's nothing you can do to go against it. In fact, if you try to go against it, you work against yourself. It's impossible. It's a law. And we will see it today. So look around you. Everything you see, everything you experience operates by this law. Everything that you see, look in your living room, wherever you are, look around you, open the window, look outside, look at the trees, look at the vegetation, go into your kitchen, look at the food stuff. Every single thing operates by this law of seed and harvest. Everything. So I might be bold to say this is the most important law. So did a farmer plant groundnuts and expect to harvest yams? No. In fact, the moment he planted the groundnuts, he knew exactly what he was coming to harvest. The moment he planted corn, he knew exactly. He didn't plant corn and start wondering why he's not seeing yam and get angry. Start throwing tantrums. Where's my yam? I don't like this. I wanted yam. No, he planted corn. So because he planted corn, it's corn he will get. So I don't know how we have allowed ourselves to believe that we can harvest what we didn't plant. And that is one of the major reasons and causes of frustration, depression. A man thinking that he can fool God. he can fool creation into giving him what he didn't plant. That's why people steal. Okay? They didn't plant anything to get the amount of money they want. There's no sowing to produce the amount of wealth they are desiring. So they steal. Where do all those people who do those things, they end up in jail, they end up dead, or they end up sick? Because you can't go against this law. Everyone who attempts to go against this law suffers for it. Everywhere you look, the universe screams this truth: seed and harvest. Every harvest exists because of a seed. So the question, if you are not seeing the harvest you desire in your life, if you're not seeing the harvest you desire in your life, if you are not seeing the harvest in your finances, your relationships, your health, your business, I'm going to tell you this, and please just accept it. It's not because God doesn't want you to have those things. It's not because God doesn't want you to be prosperous. It's not because God doesn't want you well. It's not because God doesn't want your relationship to flourish. It's because you haven't properly understood, or maybe you understand, but you haven't properly applied this unchanging, unbreakable law. But I trust that tonight will give you clarity, and there will also be grace to always think from this place of, what am I sowing? I want to get to United States of America, and there's a path, there's a flight that will take me there. There's an amount of money that will enable me to buy the ticket. There are things I need to do to get the visa. There are jobs I need to do to get the money. So there is in stages. So it's seeds. And when I do this, then this will produce this. So we must always see the tomorrow, look at our future from the lens of a seed. So if I want to get married at so and so age, if I want to raise children that have this character, that have this, that are able to do this, that are able to do that, I must, instead of thinking too far ahead, what I must now start asking, after I see the future, after I see the vision, the next step is to now come back to where I am and say, what seed do I need to sow that will get me to that future? What seed do I need to sow today to get me to the future I see in the next 5 years? It sounds very simple to me. So Genesis 8:22. So a man decides this is the lady he wants to marry, and he likes the lady. They're together maybe in church, in their office, and they just talk here and there. And one day, out of the blue, he just goes to ask her out. I'm interested in you. Can we get to know each other? Can we start courting? Can this, that? But before he made that move, the wise thing would have been to start sowing some seeds to make sure that when you ask this question, you have a very high chance of getting a yes. Isn't that a good example? But the man jumps in. I see people propose in public and the lady says no. I don't even know how they got there. How did I get to the stage where I'm not sure of a yes? I mean, I should be 110% sure she will say yes before I go and kneel down in public. Could it be that the seeds were not sown? Or he was sowing the wrong seeds, thinking he was sowing corn, thinking he was sowing mango, and he was expecting mango. That you know the lady, and that you've been talking with the lady, and that the lady likes you, doesn't mean you've sown the seeds of being a husband to her. Let's leave there. Genesis 8:22. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest. I'm using NLT. Planting and harvest. Cold and heat. summer and winter, day and night. So as long as the earth remains, New King James says, seed time and harvest shall not cease. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So I like the way the Bible went on to say cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night. It's just trying to tell you that for every time you see the day, every time you see night, every time there's summer, every time there's winter, it's confirmation that there's also still seed time and harvest. It shall not cease. It's not a suggestion, it's a divine decree. It's not a cultural thing. Oh, some people believe this. No. This is truth. This is, you can't run from it. As far as you still see day and night, as far as you still see seasons, seed time and harvest will continue to operate. So every single farmer on this planet, everybody that is a farmer knows the area he specializes in. So some people plant cash crops, whatever they call them, and they know the gestation period for everything they plant. There's a gestation period. They know that this will take 6 months, this will take 3 months. You can't change it. It's given. If they do, in this day and age now, we've done a lot of things with with biology and stuff, where we make, those days we used to have corn at specific times of the year, but there are places you go and you still see corn throughout the year. They've done some things to make it work, but the fact still remains that a seed was put into they've not done anything to just carry corn from no seed and it comes out. You just still like say, corn, I want corn, and he does, and corn comes into his hand. No, we've not gotten there yet. We've not gotten there yet. Okay, so it still has to be planted, and there's a time period for it to mature, and you can harvest it. So it's everywhere. You put one tiny maize seed in the ground, and you don't just get one, that same thing, it's multiplied. So that's another beautiful thing about it, is that the discipline, the sacrifice that it would take to sow those seeds is nothing compared to the joy that will come from my harvest, because the harvest is always greater than the seed. Look around you. The harvest is always greater than the seed. The harvest is always much, much greater than the seed. So no matter what it costs me, it's nothing compared to the joy, the satisfaction that will come from harvesting that. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You throw a ball up, it comes down. Imagine throwing a ball and it stays up. I don't think you will stay in that area. You will find safety. So you already know that when I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. That's how creation works. The Bible talks about there's nothing new under the sun. You already know that this is what happens at this time. If I throw the ball, it's going to come back. If I hit it on the wall, it will bounce back. If I raise my hand to catch it, once I already know. You sow heat, you reap sweat. You sow cold, you reap shivers. It's a law. Everything around us confirms that this law is true and unbreakable. You put in the seed of consistent workouts for your fitness, disciplined eating. What do you harvest? A good health, a lighter body, more strength. You sow the seed of diligent study, late nights, early morning. What's the harvest? Knowledge, understanding, good grades. You read, you know more. Seed. You sow procrastination and distraction. What's the harvest? Failure, regret. blaming everybody else. It's a law. Whatever you sow, you reap. It may look like some people are sowing the wrong things and they are not reaping it. Relax. It's a law. You don't have to check time for anybody. Just focus on your own. Don't worry about anybody else. Just make sure you are sowing the right seeds, because everybody who sows will reap what he sows. You don't have to help God. Relax. It's a law. It doesn't have to sit and be watching it. The universe is structured that way. Put a seed in the ground. Nobody has to keep speaking words over the seed. It will grow. It's a law. That's why there are many times the seeds you've sown, you forget, but it's a law to come back. Sometimes your children that will have it. Sometimes it's in areas even if you were praying, you couldn't think of that prayer point. You couldn't think of the seed working in that area. Just relax. The important thing is make sure you are sowing seeds based on the harvest you want to reap. You cannot break this law. You can only break yourself against this law. When you learn to cooperate with it, abundance becomes your predictable reality. Once you learn to think, to operate, to live by the law of seed and harvest, abundance becomes your reality. Now, when we say seed, don't just be thinking money. It's just one aspect of seed. Money is just one part of everything you did today is a seed. Let me bring it to dawn on you that everything you did or didn't do is a seed. Let me not say didn't do, because what you didn't do, you did. So, not making up the bed is not just I didn't make up the bed. Is I didn't make up the bed. Is a did. Permit the English. I need you to get it. So even when I didn't read, don't just, I failed to read. No, it's a seed you sowed. I heard somebody say something a while ago. They were referencing a book they read. And he said, for every time you set a goal or a structure and you said, I will do this so and so time. I will do this every day. I will do this at so and so time. I will go here, I'll read this book, whatever it is you said. The same way doing it consistently makes you become that. Please listen. The same way doing that thing consistently makes you become that. So if I read every day, if I write every day, John Maxwell says he reads every day, he writes every day. That's how he's able to write so many books, so many bestsellers. It's what he does every day. So he becomes a writer. By writing every day, he's a writer. Somebody who goes for football training every day becomes a footballer. So you do to become. But now see the flip side. The same way you are doing to become, everything you now fail to do is doing the exact same thing. You are becoming the opposite of that person you want to become. So for every time you were supposed to read, you didn't read. You missed it today. You missed it tomorrow. You miss it next tomorrow. You miss it the day after that, and you keep missing it. The same way the consistency makes you become successful in that area. That's the same way the inconsistency in it makes you become a failure in that area. And in fact, it is in a multiplied state. Why? Because man naturally bends to the negative side. So when you are trying to become positive, when you're trying to do something that is in light, so to speak, light as in the good thing, you're going against the tide. So you will have to put in more. But when you now consistently go against the person you are trying to become, you will fall even faster, because you naturally will fall. Any man who is not living intentionally is already going like, you have to be intentional to succeed, but you don't have to be intentional to fail. Failure is default. So now we believe and we understand that this law is real and it's universal. But this is where many Christians miss it. They think seed only means money. But that's a very, very limited mindset. Seed is not just money. Everything you have, everything you are is a seed. I repeat, everything you have, everything you are is a seed. Everything. You always have seed. You are a seed. So let's look at time. You sow time into productive work, into learning, into family, into God's word. What's the harvest? Progress, growth, stronger relationships, divine wisdom. You sow time into distractions, gossips, idleness. What's the harvest? Regret, stagnation, emptiness. So time is a seed. And time is universal. All of us have the same amount of time. No man has more time. All of us have the same 24 hours in a day. So we are all equal. Every man is born equal. He has 24 hours in a day. What I do with my time, put it in a different way, how I sow my time will determine what I harvest with time. What I sow and how I sow my time will determine what I harvest in time. Very simple. Let's look at talent and skills. The same thing. You sow your unique skills, whether it's coding, speaking, leading, writing, web development, architect, whatever it is, you develop them, you offer them to serve others. What's the harvest? Opportunity, influence, income, fulfillment. So I can have a skill and still not sow it. I can be so gifted and still be in my little corner sleeping. I'm breaking this down so you see that you have seed. There's no man that's without seed. So you have the more you sow your skills, your unique skills, the more money you make, the more fulfilled you are, the more influence you have, the more opportunities you see and notice. We talked about opportunities last time. Every man has opportunities. Every man. But I have to discern them. I have to notice them. So when I keep sowing, I create more doors, more channels to lead through those opportunities, to notice those opportunities. You bury your talent like the servant in the parable who went to bury his own. What's the harvest? Loss, judgment, failure. So ideas and creativity. An idea sparked by God's Spirit is a powerful seed. How many of you have ever been in a place? How many of you have ever been in a place where you had an idea and you were working on that idea, but somewhere somehow you never really pushed more, you just kind of relaxed, and one day you just went online or you just saw an advert and it was like the exact same idea you abandoned that somebody else is using. You didn't sow, somebody else did. The moment you got the idea and you looked down on it, you were not you didn't put in the work to make sure that you build on it. Somebody else was given that same idea. Somebody else was given that same idea. So an idea sparked by God's Spirit, you act on it, you develop it, you refine it. What's the harvest? Innovation, solutions, new businesses, transformed lives, more money too, more fulfillment, because when you solve a problem, there's a level of fulfillment you get, because that's what man was created to do. So what if you sit down and you don't use that idea that God gave you? There's also a harvest to it. Missed opportunity, frustration. Then let's look at words. Words are also seeds, powerful seeds. Your words, you sow words of blessing, faith, encouragement. You keep speaking the right thing. You are seeing things not working, but you are speaking the right thing. You're speaking life. You're speaking faith. You're building up with your words. What's the harvest? A positive atmosphere, good relationships, breakthrough in your own life. You speak, you're sowing a seed. That seed will germinate and produce. What about the opposite? You sow words of complaint. Oh, this is not working. I don't have. Things are hard. What happens? What do you harvest? Strife, despair, lack, sickness, breakdown of whatever system you're working on, whatever system you are, whatever systems you have. Words are powerful seeds. The power of life and death are in the tongue. Man is satisfied by the fruit of his lips. Fruit. So the words are seeds that will produce the fruit. Obedience and service. You sow obedience to God's word. You serve others sacrificially. What's the harvest? Favor, open doors, divine connections, and peace. I'm just going through all this to just it's not exhaustive, but it's for you to just realize that I have seed, and say that to yourself. Say, I always have seed. Obi, you always have seed. You have no excuse. You always have seed. Now, money, all of us know when our mind goes to money first. So, but I have to add it. Money is a seed. When you sow it intentionally, especially into God's kingdom through tithes, offerings, so on and so forth, as led, you can see 2 Corinthians 9:6, or into wise business investments, what's the harvest? Financial increase, multiplication, divine provision. So stop saying, I don't have seed. Stop saying, I trust God. One day I will be able to sow. No. You are walking, talking, seed sowing machine. You are a walking, talking, seed sowing machine. I'll say that over myself. I am a walking, talking, seed sowing machine. So that changes something. As I just said it, it changes something in my mind that, okay, that means if there's any challenge I have now, if there's anything I want to correct now, the mindset now should be, what seed do I need to sow? What seed do I need to sow to correct this? The question is not, do I have seed? The question is, what seed am I intentionally sowing, and where am I sowing that seed? So there is sowing in good ground. Let's see Galatians 6. Galatians 6:7. Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. Verse 9. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap. This is the part that gets me every time. If we do not lose heart. And let us not grow weary while doing good, For in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. So it is possible for me to be sowing the right seeds and eventually not reap. Why? I give up. I give up. If you don't lose heart, you will get your harvest. Let's see Mark 4. Mark 4:26. Mark 4:26. And he said, the kingdom of God is as if a man should scatter seed on the ground, and should sleep by night and rise by day, and the seed should sprout and grow. He himself does not know how. He doesn't know how the seed grew. Ah, let's keep going. He does not know how. 28. For the earth yields crops by itself. You don't have to do anything. Just don't give up. Just don't go and uproot what you planted. You don't have to be calculating, but how. Just sow the right seeds. That's why when I try to mentor people to say, okay, you want your income to move from this level to that level, you want to do this, you want to achieve this, okay, these are the things you should be doing. What I'm teaching them is start sowing these seeds. These are the seeds that will deliver this result. You don't have to worry about how it will happen. Just ensure that you sow the seed and you protect your seed. Simple. Because once the seed stays in the ground, it will produce. For the earth yields crop by itself. First the blade. So there are levels, stages. You may not just see all come up at once. It's stages. That's why we always say, even if you've not gotten everything, you'll be seeing progress. You will be seeing progress. You may not have seen everything happen, but you'll be seeing progress. It's a sign. First the blade, then the head, after the full grain in the head. But when the grain ripens, immediately, when it is gestation period, when it is time, immediately he puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. Remember, verse 26 says, and he said, the kingdom of God is as if. So this is how our kingdom, the kingdom of God that we live in, that we are part of, this is how it operates. Scatter seed. So we've identified, one, that seeds are real. Seed time and harvest, you can't break it. It stands forever. We've identified that seed is not just money. You are a seed. You have seeds all around you. So scatter seeds. Make sure that you maximize every seed in your hand. Opportunities, what you do with your time, seeds. Just relax. So you're trying to move from one level of income to a ridiculously higher level. Don't start calculating, but how? That's not your point. That's not your issue. Your own is to sit down and say, what seeds do I need to sow? And how often will I sow it? What's my structure for sowing? Because as sure as heaven and earth remain, there will be seed time and there will be harvest. You see, the Bible didn't say seed time and harvest time. It said seed time and harvest. Meaning, for every seed, there's a gestation period. So the seed time determines the harvest. So if it is a 3 months seed, in 3 months, the harvest will come. You don't have to bother your head. Just protect your seed. Just make sure it stays in the ground. Make sure you are doing what you should do and you keep doing it. You are sowing a seed to become the person who can handle it, the person who has that thing. Where and how you sow profoundly impacts the harvest. Where and how you sow profoundly impacts the harvest. So if you're always sowing, are you sowing in good ground? Because everybody is sowing seeds. So we're talking about sowing seeds, sowing seeds. And we say, I've not been sowing. No, you have been sowing seeds. All of us are sowing seeds. The question is, what are we sowing and where are we sowing it? But if it's seed, every day you sow the seed. You didn't make up that bed, it's a seed. You spoke rudely to that person, it's a seed. It's a seed. You didn't read, it's a seed. You didn't work on that project as you should, it's a seed. Don't say, oh, I've not been sowing. No, you are sowing seeds. And you are sowing it in bad ground, terrible ground. Everything in my life today is as a result of seeds sown. Anything I want to change in my life for tomorrow, I will have to change the seeds I sowed today. Not all ground is created equal. A farmer doesn't just scatter seeds anywhere. They choose fertile soil. So there are even different types of soil. We taught that in school those days, I think. Loamy soil, sandy soil. So different seeds need different soil. They don't all grow and do well. That's why there are different parts of the world. There's parts of the world you have these particular trees, these particular fruits, and you don't have another part. It's because of the type of the temperature, the type of soil they have there. Even in Nigeria, there's some things that grow well in the north, don't grow so well here. The soil. The soil. So don't just scatter seeds anywhere. Don't just scatter seeds because they said it's seed. Choose fertile soil. So let's look at some. We'll just look at three. Just look at three. Number one, sowing to the Spirit. We read that, Galatians 6:8. Galatians 6:8. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption, but he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. Let me change the translation. I want to show you something. For he who sows to his own flesh, Amplified Classic, lower nature, sensuality, will from the flesh reap decay and ruin. Nothing lives, things just die, things just spoil. When you sow to the flesh, will reap decay and ruin and destruction. But he who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life, Zoe, will reap the life as God has it in himself. If you follow your selfish desires, you will harvest destruction. But if you follow the Spirit, you will harvest eternal life. So, sow to the Spirit. This is the most important. Sow to the Spirit. This is the best ground. When you sow your time, talent, and treasures into God's kingdom, into ministries that teach his word, into reaching the lost, into helping the poor, you are sowing into spiritual ground. When you spend time in the word, studying, practicing what you study, you are sowing into spiritual ground. And from the Spirit, you will reap eternal life and everything good that comes with it, including financial abundance. Because when you sow to the Spirit, you become a man of the Spirit, a man who hears God and who walks according to the dictates of the Spirit. So you need money to do. God can now trust you with a level of finances because he knows you're a man of the Spirit. He knows you are discipled by the Spirit. What you are sowing is what will benefit the kingdom. So then money becomes a tool in your hand and not something to pay bills with. You've passed the level of paying bills. Number two, sowing into strategic opportunities. So this connects with what we looked at last week. So don't just throw money at every opportunity. The question you must ask is this my opportunity? Is this a fertile idea? Does it have a clear path to growth? It's not just something I will do that will make me money now, and I will lose track of the main thing that will continue to make me money and give me fulfillment and take me off purpose for the next 50 years. No. I must be thinking based on what will it really produce. I must be thinking based on not just will I make money now. Will it give me immediate satisfaction? I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking, what is the fruit of this thing in the long run? Does it have a clear path to growth? Does it solve a real problem? Are you investing in your own growth and learning? So if your answer to all this is yes, it is a fertile idea. It has a clear path to growth. It solves a real problem, and even better if it solves a problem for many people. If it is an investment to your growth and learning, then it's a good idea. It's good ground for your talents and ideas. So sow into strategic opportunities. Number three, sowing with generosity. 2 Corinthians 9:6. Remember this: a farmer who plants only a few seeds will get a small crop, but the one who plants generously will get a generous crop. So God knows my heart now. They should stop looking at the amount. They should stop looking at this. Am I not trying? But at least I've changed a little. I used to come by, the meeting was by 8. Before, if it was before, I come by 9. But now I'm coming by 8:30. Can't you at least acknowledge? I acknowledge, but you are still sowing the wrong seed. And the inconsistency is affecting you. So it is also the amount and the consistency matters. If you only plant a few, you will reap a few. Now, there's no disputing the fact that your harvest will always be more than the seed, but it will always be proportional. So if it, let's say every seed you sow gives you a times 10 on your harvest, there's a 10% increase. So if I sow one seed, I will have 1 times 10. But if I sow 2, I will have 2 times 10. What if I sow 3? I will have 3 times 10. You will start noticing that the higher the number of seeds go, it's no longer just multiplication. You now start seeing it compounding. That's how it works. You can't say it doesn't matter. It matters. If I say, okay, I will put in 5 minutes a day into reading, it's a seed, and by all means sow that seed. But you can't also say that somebody who puts in 1 hour a day reading is the same thing. It's not the same thing. And we can't fool ourselves into thinking or make ourselves feel better into believing that it's the same thing. It's not. It won't be fair if it's the same thing. Then why should somebody put in more time? Why should somebody put in more time, make more sacrifices, and get the same result as the person who put in less? It's not fair. So our seeds will always distinguish us. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. It's a direct command for your financial seed. Don't just give out of obligation. Give out of revelation. Give with joy. Give cheerfully. Give with excitement. Sometimes This is a huge sacrifice, but you just know there is no way the seed can be greater than the harvest. I know it. Look around you. Look at creation. It doesn't exist. There's no place they've put in a seed and the harvest was the same size of the seed. It's always multiply. You put in one small seed and you see a tree that produces other seeds. Your attitude towards your seed determines your harvest. So if you look around you, if you go and put something in rocky soil, it may die if it's not the seed for it. So you have plants like aloe vera, they call them desert plants, so they don't need plenty water. So if you put the aloe vera side by side, let's say another plant, let's say a hibiscus flower, and you say, okay, the aloe vera is doing well now, and you stop watering both of them. You don't water the aloe vera and you also don't water the hibiscus. The hibiscus will die and the aloe vera may still be alive. So the soil matters. The soil matters. The consistency, what they need to be getting to grow. Investing in a well-researched business idea has higher returns than throwing money at a get-rich-quick scheme. In fact, throwing money at a get-rich-quick scheme doesn't have any return. The return is sorrow, is tears. And I know by now, this is session 4, by now you can't even see all these get rich quick schemes and it will appeal to you. You've left there. You can't even see those kind of things and it appeals to you anymore, because you know there's a process. There's a process. Anything that violates these laws is not genuine. There's a process. So when you consistently keep investing in your skills, that's always good one. Building yourself is more important than building your job. Working on yourself is more important than working on your job. So consistently investing in your skills, working on your skills, getting better, sharpening them, obviously will lead to you advancing in your career. There's a seed for every result you desire. There's a seed for every harvest you look forward to getting. So don't just focus on the harvest. Look at the harvest and then go back to say, what is the seed? What are the seeds that will deliver this outcome? And what is the structure I'll put in place to make sure I am consistent in sowing them? What is the measure that is needed? If I want to get there in 2 years, what measure do I need to put in? That's when your thinking changes. You now realize you're already a successful person, because the way you see things is totally different. You don't just pray and wish, but you pray and wait for an instruction, wait for a strategy, and you get to work. So do you want a massive harvest? This is a lamb. It is our year of quantum leaps, right? You want a massive harvest. So stop sowing mediocre seeds into barren ground. Stop doing start and stop. You did it for 2 days, you stop. The six-pack won't come by working out for 2 weeks and stopping for 6 months. Show that you mean it. Prove to yourself that you're ready. Sow excellent seeds into good, fertile kingdom ground. Sow excellent seeds into fertile kingdom ground, and sow consistently. So we've been able to identify that there's a law. It's universal. It cannot change. There's seed and there's harvest. We've been able to identify that you are a seed. You have seed. There is no limit of seeds. Time, money, your skill, opportunities, what you do is a seed. Right? Then we've been able to now understand that there is a strategy of knowing the right ground and the amount to keep sowing. There's a generous sowing. There's a heart, a right positioning of the heart to sow and reap correctly. Sometimes many Christians know how to sow, but we find it hard to harvest. And in order to be a good sower, you must be a good harvester. If not, you will get tired. You will give up along the way. You will give up along the way. So now, the next part we must understand is there needs to be patience. There needs to be persistence. And there needs to be a protecting of your harvest. There needs to be patience, persistence, and a protecting of your harvest. So there's a gap between when I sow and when I harvest. Can I be honest with you? Most of the time, you don't know that gap. You don't know the gestation period. You don't know. It's spiritual, so you can't actually say it will take me 2 months, it will take me 5 years. We don't know. That's why you must think as first a sower. Just become a sower. So a sower is not one who does it once in a while, it's one who lives that way. He sows. So just keep scattering seed. This is where many of us stumble. We sow seed and then we want the harvest tomorrow. But there's a process. There's a gestation period. The farmer doesn't plant a seed today and harvest tonight. Or does he? I would like to meet that farmer. I don't know any farmer that does that. And he's planting with such confidence because he know that gestation period will still come. It's not tomorrow, but it will still come. A baby doesn't come in a day. 9 good months before you meet that child. 1 year, the child is still more or less a baby, a toddler that can't do anything for themselves. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You see how many years that goes into it. There's a gestation period for your harvest. A tree doesn't grow overnight. It takes years of consistent watering and sunshine. That's patience. See all the trees we're seeing around us. Just remember, think back. There was a time, some of you maybe where you grew up, you can even paint pictures knowing that there was no tree here at some point. But we've even forgotten because it's been there so long that we don't remember that there was a time that tree wasn't there. And it took years before it grew. The estates you go to, they've started planting trees. The trees are just shrubs now. But go there in a couple of years and they would have grown. So they plan it. They want this area to have trees. They want this to have this. It's vision. Vision. So I start sowing based on where I'm going, based on the picture I see. That business you are raising, it will not come to that level overnight. The picture you've seen, it won't be that overnight. The business doesn't become profitable in a week. It takes consistent effort, problem solving, and time. That is persistence. That is persistence. That is persistence. So your seed needs patience, persistence, and protecting the harvest. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time, note the word proper time, that means there is a set time for it. There is a proper time. Relax. Relax. I don't know the proper time for each seed I sow, but I just know that for every seed I sow, there will be a time that the harvest will come. So instead of me focusing and losing sleep and becoming bitter and irritated because I have not seen this harvest or that harvest, I shut myself out from that. My focus is just keep sowing the seeds. Just keep compounding the seeds. Just keep adding to the seeds. The harvest will come. That proper time will arrive. For at the proper time, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up, if you don't go and start uprooting, if you don't use your words to start canceling everything, if you don't stop, because that's what people do. You become consistent in doing specific things daily, and you're happy about it, but then you start noticing, I've not gotten this, I've not even seen this, I've still not been able to do this, this has still not happened, and you drop, you stop doing it. Be careful, because you may not have reached the end for which it will start speaking before you stopped. So if you go to the hospital and the doctor diagnoses something and gives you medication, he will tell you take 2 a day, take this by this time, take this by this time, and he gives you 3 days. How do they say it? If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. So if I took the medicine for 2 days and I was supposed to take it for 3 days, if I took one in the afternoon, one in the night, one in the evening, instead of 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the night, 2 in the evening, and I'm waiting for my body to start feeling better, it won't, because I have not sown the proper seed into my system to deliver the harvest, which is get better. So at every point we're putting these seeds in the ground, the question is, when I gave up, had I finished sowing what is required to deliver this thing I desire? So it is not that I've finished my race and I've done all I should do, and then because I started feeling bad, God now says, no harvest for you. No. But I don't even understand how it works. You don't understand how it works. Your role is keep putting it in the ground. Keep sowing. Keep sowing. Whatever area it is, be diligent in it. Keep at it. If you keep with it and you don't give up, the enemy wants you to get tired. He wants you to dig up your seed, to doubt the process. Don't you dare. You've put in too much. You've already made a lot of sacrifices. Don't give up at this stage. Keep going. It is a universal law. If you sow, you will reap. The harvest is coming if you do not quit. So once you've sown, protect your seed. Protect it from doubt, from negative words, from bad advice, from impatience, from the enemy who wants to steal your breakthrough. Protect it. Water it with faith. Water it with confession. Water it with consistent action. So keep building on it. Keep adding new layers. Keep adding new layers. Keep adding new layers. Keep building. Protect your seed. Don't talk down on it. Don't cancel it. Don't uproot it. Remember, there is a promise of a harvest. You always reap more than you sow. One seed, many seeds, many fruits, and many seeds. That's the beautiful thing about it. So if I sow, I will receive many fruits, and inside each fruit is another seed. So I can take from there again. Let's say I put one seed in the ground. That one seed can produce 100 seeds, 100 fruits that have 100 seeds. I can decide, wow, I put 100. Now, imagine, I can even put as much as 20. I put 20. It starts compounding. You reap later than you sow. It won't come overnight. There's a time gap. Know it. Be ready for it. And you reap different from what you sow. It will always be in a higher state. It will be with fruit and a seed. So the harvest is not just a seed. It comes with fruit. It comes with bread to eat. Expect exponential return. Expect exponential return. You can never harvest less or in the same quantity with which you sow. Not possible. It's a law. You don't have to do anything. Just protect your seed. Sow it with all joy and protect your seed. All right. So as we usually do, let's make it very real. Think about one area in your life where you desperately want to see a harvest. Maybe it's financial freedom, a thriving business, a restored relationship, perfect health. What one specific seed are you committed to sowing intentionally this week to activate that harvest? So, two things. One, what is an area you want to see a harvest? What is one area you desperately want to see a harvest? What is one area you desperately want to see a harvest? Whether it is financial freedom, whether it is your health, whether it is your business, whether it is your ministry, what is one area? Let's start with that. One area. I want to see it on the chart. What is one area you desperately want to see a harvest? One area you desperately want to see a harvest. One area you desperately want to see a harvest. I'm waiting to see what you are dropping. What is one area you desperately want to see a harvest? For some reason, I'm not seeing the feed drop. Okay, so that I don't prolong this whole thing. So one area, and then you need to now go back and think, if I desire to see a harvest in this area, what seed do I need to sow? And what seed am I committing to sow this week? So we're going to meet again on Friday next week. So between Friday today and Thursday next week, what seed am I committing to sow to deliver this harvest that I so desperately desire? What seed am I willing to go and sow now to deliver this harvest that I so desperately desire? I want you to say this with me. I am a sower. I am a reaper. my harvest is guaranteed. I'm a sower, I'm a reaper, my harvest is guaranteed. I am a sower, I am a reaper, my harvest is guaranteed. So this week I want you to go and master, go and practice being a sower and a harvester. So this is where this theory meets triumph. This is where we don't just talk, we go and practice. Identify your seed and your ground. What is the most important seed you need to sow this week? Time, scale, money, obedience. What is the seed, the most important seed you need to sow this week between Friday and Thursday? Identify it and get to work. And into what good ground will you sow it? Be very specific. So I need to sow this seed. This is how I'm doing. This is why I'm sowing it. This is why I'm doing it. This is in this area, in that area, so on and so forth. All right. I hope we're blessed by this evening. So remember your assignment. Go back, check. This is the harvest, and this is the seed I'm willing to sow, and this is the ground in which I will put it. I'm ready to start sowing. I'm ready to start taking those steps with seeds intentionally to deliver the harvest I desire. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you.